Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Oldbarn Homestead channel. My name is Gary, and real quick, if you're joining this channel and you're not subscribed to my other main channel, you might want to go check that out. Some people, it seems like, have stumbled onto this channel first. This is kind of like my backup, behind the scenes, just kind of ramble, show people what's going on in detail. The other channel is where I try to make fairly short videos and show completed projects and that kind of thing. But I wanted to show you this. I got I think finally the rest of the parts I needed for for this build I'm working on that you guys have seen a couple, several videos on it. The stainless steel rectangle thing with all the drilled and tapped holes in it that I can't share what it is. But those drilled and tapped holes are going to get this 1/8" NPT screwed down in it, and I've got this cap. It's, I guess, a tube nut really, that'll go down on top of it, and you see it's got an opening in the end of it, and I need to make an inconell nozzle. Basically it's just going to be a round piece that has got a 37-degree flare on one end, and on the other end it's going to have a hole in it and a small shoulder turned down that will get captured by the outside of this here. And I have talked to several machinists, small CNC machine job shops, and I've yet to get anybody to give me a price on it, much less actually move forward with it. And I've talked to several. I've talked to a couple on the internet. I've talked to 3 or 4 locally, and I need 60 of each of these, or 120 total of these things. 60 of them with a 70 thousandths hole, and 60 of them with an 80 thousandths hole. So I may end up doing this myself. And I was wondering what you guys think about it on my lathe over there, which is kind of a little bit nasty. It's funny. I took the turret off of it, because it was a turret lathe, and the turret was in bad shape, or needed some work for sure. But that would have been probably perfect to set up a job like this. A turret is kind of the manual version of a CNC deal, where you need to repeat several tasks. And if you see on the screen, I'm showing you that piece that I need turned. Do any of you guys know any machine shops that would be interested in it? And I'm talking about somebody that's serious, and I'm gonna say, within reason, money's really not a question. This company that I'm doing this for, everything I've billed them for, they've not questioned one bit anything I've billed them for. The hours, the drill bits, the saw blades, the materials, they've paid everything. They've not said, hey, how come you charged me for this? So within reason, it's a good money-making job. And even if you want to quote the tooling separate, and which is what I would do, because you never know. I've never turned inconell. Maybe some of you know what, consumable life would be. Drill bits and turning tools and things like that. So anyway, let me know what you guys think on that. If you think I could do it on my lathe in a manual way. And it's really got 3 operations on it. It needs a shoulder turned down on one end, a hole drilled through the center, and a 37-degree opening turned on the other end to seat on this flare. So it is a little bit of a work holding issue, because once you get the shoulder turned, you've got to flip it around. But I've got the collet chuck for that lathe, and it's just a matter of getting the right collet for it. I'd have to measure the the opening on this. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if you can see down in there or not, but there's a shoulder, sort of a flange sticking out in there that's bigger than the diameter of this, that will capture it onto that shoulder there. So it's you know, making all that fit fairly tight tolerance, you know, and it's you know, so, but it needs to be inconell. And the other question is, what version of inconell is the easiest to machine? Is it, you know, I know there's what, 675 and 725, or there's 2 or 3 different ones. I've started to look at it a little bit, but I don't know much about it. So let me know what you think about that. And as you can see, I'm working on some other stuff here. I got this leveling foot thing that I came up with. I'm trying to make a cart, and it doesn't need to roll around much, mostly stationary, but occasionally roll it around. And I wanted to use whatever I had on hand, and these are some casters that came off of something I got here that I never used. And then I bought a bunch of these little ball bearing eye things, you know, roller things that I was going to make like an infeed table with, and I never did it. And I have these just sitting around. So I ended up just making this off of that, a leveling foot, and that'll go up into a tube. So and then you can, you know, I know it doesn't have a jam nut on it, but again, this is kind of like, you know, get it set and it'll be fine. And the cart is going to be for this guy that I'm working on. I've just started working on some of the pieces for that. And anyway, I'm doing a build series on this thing, which I think is going to be kind of cool. It's going to be a poor man's iron worker. So, and I had some metal art projects come back in. I've got actually one more thing I've got to get cut to get ready to paint along with this batch. And my paint booth's still not ready. Still need to come up with some lights for it. But that's pretty much, it's getting close. I mean, it's pretty much ready to go. But the metal art work has really slowed down lately. This was the first thing right here that I'd gotten in maybe 3 weeks. And there for a while leading, you know, November, December, man, I was getting lots of jobs in for it. And so it worked out well because I got to work on that burner project, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed not having to paint something for a while. You know, painting is one of those things where I like to do it, but then after a little bit, it kind of gets old, you know, and you want to do something else, and it's messy, and I'm not really set up well, and I get all that stuff in here, and it gives me headaches. So that's not fun. And anyway, guys, just let me know what you think about the inconell thing. I was going to show you this too. I had some drops of some square tubing, actually a whole bunch of drops of different kinds. And this was my first time cutting square tubing on the plasma table. And I'm making a video on this as well. I've got 4 or 5 videos that are in flight that I've not finished up yet, that I need to get finished up. But I wanted to show, you know, a lot of people have asked about, you know, why does the torch hang so far down on your table, and why is there so much room between the bottom of the gantry and the top of the plate? And I really don't know why it's designed that way, but I can tell you that it's really handy because you can raise that torch all the way up in its mount and still get your, you know, the Z lifter on the ball screw here. You know, it's got a limited amount of travel, so if you didn't have this adjustability all the way up, there's no way you'd be able to get a 4-inch piece of square tubing on there. There's probably a lot of these that you couldn't even do that on. But anyway, so I was just kind of trying to make a Valentine's video, and I was out here messing around, and I used a bunch of scraps. That was an offcut from a project I did a while back. You guys may remember that, where I cut those tubings and welded some flanges on them. Eco Mouse Designs building a table, and I cut him some 1/4-inch plates, and these were all the drops on that, and I just kind of just stuck them on there and welded them on there to cover up the top of it. But it's like a little lantern, you know. You can put a candle inside of it, or a fire starter, or you could put LEDs in it, you know, whatever you wanted, and get it to light up through that. So that's what I got going on around here. The main thing though is I'm just curious what you guys, well, one, would anybody out there be interested in this project, turning these inconell parts? And if so, you know, definitely contact me. Or if you know someone that would want to do it, contact me. I've already, you know, your standard CNC machinists that are on the internet, your John Saunders, Tom Zellick. I've reached out to all of them. Nobody's either got the time or is interested in it. The one guy I haven't reached out to is Peter Stanton down in Houston. That I linked his channel recently on my other channel at Edge Precision. He does a lot of inconell and a lot of really hard turning and things. I've never seen him work with anything this small. You're probably looking at starting with some 3/8 bar stock, 3/8 OD. So anyway, but I'm sure he probably could do it. His machines are huge, you know, it'd be a tiny part for such a big machine, but I'm sure he could do it. But I was just gonna, you know, see if maybe I could set up, you know, set up one op and do all those, all 120 of them, and then flip them around and then do the other 2 ops. But once it gets parted off, you know, the challenge is going to be holding it. You know, once you get it, once I turn a shoulder on one end and park that off and flip it back around, it'd be holding it on that shoulder. And there's no way the chuck, I don't believe, would hold it. And yeah, I have the chuck key in there for any of you safety guys out there. And yeah, I know my lathe is nasty, and I know the grinding belt is right there beside it. Anyway, so you guys just let me know. I'll see you later.